The year was 2016, and the world was fawning over Overwatch and its fantastic initial trailer, capturing damn near everyone's heart. Everyone's eyes was on Blizzard and what they had done, and with one such company having just wrapped up their successful series of Borderlands, Gearbox was likely looking ahead at potential new business models. I mean, what's a better business model than a potential PvP game that was infinitely replayable, and once built, all you really had to do was support it over time, adding new maps, cosmetics, and even characters. Honestly, perfectly falling into Gearbox's already established skill set. And oh my god, it was so sick. Not only did Battleborn come with a full-length campaign, but it had an insane roster of characters that were extremely unique, and all felt substantially different. And it even had some of the most interesting game modes I have ever seen, especially in the hero shooter space. But that right there, that to me is exactly the fundamental reason why Battleborn failed. You see, as time goes on, the more I, and I think many of you, realize how special Battleborn really was, and also how badly they fumbled the marketing of this game, all because of that one term that was thrown around to death. Hero shooter, hero shooter, hero shooter, again and again. But 90% of the roster was fucking melee. Yeah, and also, it didn't really play like a shooter at all. It was much more like a first-person MOBA, an FPM, I guess. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue. You could jungle, go into a certain encounters with a loadout, and level up your character, making them almost unrecognizable from where you started the round. Not just enhancing your damage, but enhancing your whole ass skill tree and create an entirely different playstyle. And you have no idea how frustrating it is to see Overwatch literally do the same thing only months ago when they were trying to pull off their last-ditch effort to save Overwatch, trying to compete with Marvel rivals, implementing the exact same upgrade tree that Battleborn had. But back to the MOBA thing. You had characters that were perfectly specialized in locking down areas completely. Not only how massive the map sizes were, the only really big hiccup that I remember the game having, especially towards the end, was a few balancing changes for certain characters being really good, and of course, a few bugs of character skills just not quite working perfectly. I remember Boulder had still something wrong, even when the lights turned off, which we'll talk about in a moment. Anyways, it is a surreal trip to look back at this game. And man, I remember I was ripping my fucking hair out listening to the Overwatch devs talk about how impossible it was to make a hero shooter campaign. All the while, Gearbox had done it, and done it pretty fucking well. It was like a great decompress after you went on a fucking loss streak to be like, dude, I just want to burn through a couple levels and hang out with you and probably get high on. That was a big part of it probably too. Anyways, I'm hoping Marvel Rivals kind of takes inspiration from that. Anyways, it is so difficult to not be frustrated or upset with the Overwatch fandom, man, because they fucking hated this game like I had never seen for no reason. It was like GTA people hating on Saints Row, which now it's honestly valid because Jesus Christ, the last game of the entry was fucking horrible. But anyways, when it comes to Battleborn, I had never seen a group of people want something to fail so fucking badly as the Overwatch haters of Battleborn. But the worst part of all of this has to be that I genuinely, downright to my core, believe that if Battleborn was playable to this day, I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that it would have exploded in the recent months, especially if they launched it or relaunched it right before Marvel Rivals happened. Or hell, right as Overwatch 2 was going through its drama nonsense. It's such a shame, because I feel like so many of the people who hated Overwatch or were frustrated or got bored with the combat or gameplay would have fucking adored Battleborn. But again, if they only marketed it differently, I think this would be an entirely different story. Like I said, Battleborn was never an FPS hero shooter. Instead, it was kind of a really unique first impression of a first-person MOBA, with a cast of funny and unique characters and really fun gameplay. To mention a campaign that let you decompress after a losing streak, and how you could level up characters, so on and so forth, and how fundamentally those characters tended to change, especially from how they started the match. It wasn't just buffs here or there that give you a little bit more damage, but entirely new playstyles that allowed you to hyper-focus into one aspect of your kit, doing an entirely different thing, to like healing, to dealing 10 times more damage, to being able to cast an ability 5 times and reset it, and so on and so forth. Really fun builds. The more I think about this, the more I think it's just such a bummer. Anyways, the thing that's crazy about all this is I feel like it's wildly topical for the gaming space right now. This is probably delayed a couple weeks back, we'll say. Right now, people are talking about this movement called Stop Killing Games. The idea being if you pay for a game, you should own it, or at the very least get something for what you paid for, and not just have your purchase wiped clean, but also how important it is to leave your games playable in some capacity. Because you never know when a YouTube video, a TikTok, a short, or a content creator, or hell, even a streamer, wants to have a fun game night and play a game his friend talked about one time. And maybe, just maybe, boom, the possible opportunity of your game exploding overnight with newfound momentum. Reminds me of the Skate story, how a popular YouTuber played it for a funny, silly video, and it massively boosts the sales years later. And if that said company liked money, I feel like it would have been entirely possible to add a handful of cosmetics and maybe a few balance changes that the community was wanting, all titled under the revival patch, that I'm sure would go a long, long way. God, man, a guy can dream. Anyways, the good news is that there is a very small glimmer of hope. A handful of absolute madmen are doing their damnedest to bring back Battleborn. Truth be told, I haven't been keeping up with it too much. Honestly, out of fear of nothing really coming of it. Kind of have the same feeling of if somebody told you they could like revive a loved one, but you're not sure if they'd come back the same, like blind in one eye, half their face missing and their tongue gone, looking at them only bringing you sadness of what was and could have been. Anyways, last time I checked, it was in a decently playable state. You could go through the campaign at the very least and fight against bots, which is almost there. If only we could set up our own custom servers, that would be absolutely huge. But I don't really know if I want to hold out hope for Gearbox in this way. But man, I don't really know how Gearbox feels about all this. Hell, about Battleborn even. And to be honest, as much as Gearbox has made mistakes, especially with Battleborn, hell, maybe even a lot of mistakes, looking back on it, I think Battleborn was a genuinely good game that didn't deserve even a shred of the treatment that it got. So I get if Gearbox is a little jaded, say the least. But can you imagine if Gearbox did the impossible? Something that at the very least would mean the world to people that adore this game and never talk that much shit about it. What if they turned back on the servers for a small amount of time, maybe like a month or half a month, hell. Or the magnum opus of maybe giving us the ability to locally host our own games. If that's even possible or not. I guess the dream outcome here would be if they did what the Paragon devs did, which was a game developed by Epic. The short of it is, I believe Epic gave all of the assets to the fans, and the fans literally rebuilt Paragon into a kind of sort of different game underneath a different name. And man, could you imagine how sick that would be? But truth is, I don't even know if that's not an option, but God, I hope it is. But what I do know is that if you're one of the people working on Battleborn Reborn, thank you to death. I so badly wish I could play it again. And I think it'd be wonderful if Gearbox put their name in the ring, especially with this movement going on about stop killing games and them kind of being, well, doing exactly that. I think it'd be great advertising as well as go a long way with the community if they were to do something like that with us, or for us. Give the assets to an impassioned group of fans, or even just giving us the ability to host our own servers. Hell, I'd be fine with paying for the game again. I think that'd be an absolute win for so many parties involved. But alas, what do I know? I'm just that guy who was frantically screaming at Montana, my tank, to go in because I was healing him, despite him never doing that, and me literally having to like jump in front of enemy fire to say like, see, you can survive here, bud. I'm healing you. Anyways, still remember that pain, suffering, all that. But what a fun bit of suffering it was. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you once again. Thank you kindly for your time. And Gearbox, please, for the love of God, do this. Love you. Bye. By the way, yeah, I still talk fast as shit. What do you want from me? Boom.